Hello, everyone. Okay. All
Hi,
right.
Brenda.
Hi, how you guys doing today?
I'm
Good?
good.
Yeah? Good, good. All right. Oh, okay. So today's going to be fun, a little bit different. Just wondering if anyone's had some feelings popping up, little uncomfortable feelings. Because sometimes when we're about to do something about forgiveness, people you may have not thought about for a while start to kind of creep in. So we're just gonna wait for a few more people to show up. Um, I was just sitting here contemplating, and and all of a sudden I grabbed this book. Um, it's this book here, and sometimes I just say, "Okay, give me something." So interestingly, I opened it up to a page and I read this, and I thought we'll just start with this as people start to join. So I thought it was very fitting. I was really like, "Wow." If someone hurts you deeply, you remember it. But instead of concentrating on that, you should think about all the good things about the person who has hurt you and all the goodness that you have in your life. Don't take notice of the insults people give you. I said, wow. So once in a while, I just grab this book or sometimes angel cards and I pull out something, and it just seems to like it just kind of fit quite fitting for today. So what we are going to do is work through a deck that I have called the Power of Forgiveness. It's going to kind of explain why it's hard to forgive, steps on how to forgive. Now it's going to use steps that anybody off the street could use, but then we're going to get into more some energy work steps that you can use on your own. So if something's bubbling up and someone's kind of hurt you and you can't let it go, it's easier said than done to forgive someone, right? And sometimes we want to forgive, but there's part of us that don't forgive, or we think we've forgiven, yet when we see the person, we're still mad at them. So forgiveness is very tricky because it's kind of what the hurts that have happened are kind of intertwined within us at so many different levels. And then, as we forgive others, sometimes that's easier than forgiving ourselves. So sometimes we're embarrassed of what we did, regret what we did. And just before we start, regret is really interesting because regret is just an indication that you've moved up in higher consciousness. So if I did something to hurt someone at that time, let's say I did it intentionally, well, I wouldn't have regrets about it at that time because at that time, that's who I was and it felt good to do what I was doing. Say maybe a year later, I then regret what I did. Well, why am I regretting it a year later? Because I'm more wiser now. I'm high higher consciousness. I realize what I did was wrong. And then that's where guilt and shame come in. Well, guilt and shame are great because they're a good indicator that you've moved up in consciousness. So you can say, wow, I'm feeling regret and shame for what I did, say even 3 weeks ago. That just means that I am in a better place. I'm more aware. I'm higher in consciousness. And that uncomfortable feeling I'm having is just letting me know that because I've raised in consciousness, I can see what I did wasn't that good. So just take it as an indication and say, okay, thank you, regret, thank you, shame. I forgive myself and I'm moving forward because now I know I'm not going to do that again. That was a different version of me. And, we can't really use that like in the court of law. I'm sorry. That was a different version of me. That wasn't really me that did that because now I'm different. I wouldn't do that. It doesn't work quite like that. No, at least I don't know if anyone's ever used that in court. But that's how we learn and grow. And that's a good indication of, yeah, I'm different than I used to be. Okay, so we will start. There are a few people who registered not on the call yet, but they'll have access to the recording. So if they miss the beginning, that's not a problem at all, right? You guys are the only ones that are going to be getting. I'm just going to check my phone quickly because I think one participant here just got my attention. That Okay, yeah. So one person's running late, so that's fine. Okay, I'm just gonna turn my phone off and leave it there. So we're gonna get into the way this call is gonna work is we're gonna go through a deck. The actual deck, you can replay it as you see the replay will be on YouTube, and you'll get a special link that only you guys will have. With this call, you get something called a tips and trick sheet. I love these sheets because pretty well everything I'm speaking about today, or every method that you can do on your own, it's a two-sided PDF version of what we're doing. So you can just keep it handy on your laptop, print it out, carry it with you. And there's some things that are going to resonate with you, and some things like, oh no, that one I didn't like. But there are some things that maybe is like, oh yeah, when I'm feeling really angry at this person, or I don't want to forgive them, I'm just going to pull this out and do this over and over, and it will start to dissipate. If anyone has any questions, you can use the chat box. But because this call's a little, it's nice and small, so I like these type of calls. They're a little more informal. So if you wanted to ask a question, I have no problems with actually just engaging, and you can talk. But if you're not comfortable doing that, you can talk with your video off, or you can just use the chat box. So I'm going to monitor the chat box. But there is one thing, I think when I do my presentation, I'm gonna see if I can keep my chat box there. Sometimes I lose it. Okay, does anyone have any questions before we start? No? Okay. Well, another thing I would suggest is maybe having a pen and paper beside you. And the reason that I'm saying that is you might have, as we're doing this, sometimes, like when you have a dream and something comes in and you're like, oh, what was that about? And it just disappears so quickly. Well, sometimes when we're just going to go walking through this presentation, you might remember something that hurt you, or maybe something that you're embarrassed or ashamed about. Just write it down. Because if something's popping in at this time, it's just coming into your field for release. We're coming, like it's in our field, just coming more to the surface, saying, release me, I'm done. The not the easiest way, because the ascension process we're in isn't easy in any means, but to make things easier, forgiveness is very important. What I keep getting in meditation, and this is why I've done this presentation like at a retreat, I've done it in corporate, and it's just I think people need to know, as we forgive others and as we forgive ourselves, we lighten our load. And what we need to do as 3D people who are going through the ascension people is lighten the load. So we cannot hold ourselves in the light and hold other people in the dark. It doesn't work that way. For us to really move into the ascension process and really lighten up, we have to see everyone for the God that they are inside. So it's kind of tricky, because people will say, well, that doesn't even make sense. How can I see someone who's done something so bad? How can I see them as good? How can I see them in the light? Think of it like this. We all have divinity in us. We're all magnificent beings. But some of us don't act that way because of our programming, because of the darkness within us, because of our experiences, because of our karma, because of there's so many different things. We haven't walked in their shoes. We don't know what other people have gone through. So when they act in ways that we don't understand or we don't like, it doesn't make them a bad person outside of God. It's just they lost their remembering that they're from God. So when we hold someone in the light, so let's say I'm really mad at this person, or this person's always talking negative and I don't like being around them. I'm not better than that person. They're just lost in their thoughts. They lost their connection, all that. So what I do is I take that person, I imagine giving them my hand, and I take them out of the darkness and I move them in my imagination to a place where they're happy and light and happy, because I'm looking at the God within them. So that's kind of like where we're headed with this, because and we'll go through this presentation that I put together. It can be presented to someone who knows energy work and someone who doesn't. So we're just going to get into it, and if you have questions during it, and if I'm talking and I'm not noticing, just unmute yourself and say, hey Brent, I have a question, and we can stop and discuss it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now. All right, well, let me actually share my screen. That would be helpful. Here we go. Okay, share screen. Now I'm going to share this one. All right, here we go. So you've already seen this already. This is the power of forgiveness. I'm going to grab my notes here, but more importantly, I'm trying to get the chat box up. Oh yeah, it did come up. So if someone does put something in the chat box, I will be able to see it. And I'm pretty sure this is recording, so I'm not going to double check that. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we are in record mode. Good. Okay, so here we go. So the power of forgiveness. Here we go. Let's see this stuff and let's see how this works and let's get through it. So before we begin, you guys already been, most of you have been on the calls before. So you're likely to just relax, just listen to the information. But because this call is a little bit different, a lot of people aren't comfortable asking questions, put it in the chat. You can ask your questions later, but there are no silly questions. There are not. I ask 1,000 questions not every day, but I ask questions all the time. And I don't care how silly I look, but if I don't understand something, why can't I ask a question? So there are no silly questions. That's how we learn. If you have the question, it's probably because everyone has the question. So feel free to, raise your hand or just say, hey, I got a question. So this series that I kind of put together, there's about 12 topics in total. Really, I don't have any religious background. Yes, I grew up a certain religion, but when I talk about the all-in-one, the source, God, the creator, to me, it's all the same energy. There's a beautiful energy that loves humanity. It doesn't matter what we've done with religions is like we put it in buckets, but what we're dealing with is this beautiful energy that kind of like is everyone and everything. And when I do work, it doesn't matter who I'm working with. Different masters come in depending on the situation, and it's not tied to any religion. So I keep it very general. And of course, you guys know me well enough that I'm not in, just kind of hounding one religion or anything like it's not like that. We're talking about spirituality. We're talking about who we truly are. We all have energy fields. We all hold memories in our energy fields. We send out so much love from our heart and it comes through if everything's moving correctly. And you know what, there's a really cool website if you're interested. It's the Heart Math Institute. So if you're actually kind of interested in learning about all like how our energy fields work and things like that, they have a lot of great research on there. So here we go. So we're just going to take a few deep breaths before we start. And the reason I want for you guys to take this time is as we take a few deep breaths, we're in this forgiveness mode. We're going to learn about it. We're going to actually break some of this energy that's stuck. I want you guys to take a few deep breaths. And if you're breathing in through your nose and just bring a big deep breath into your tummy and let it really fill up. And then you're going to breathe it out. And usually I do it from my mouth, but really I just want you to breathe as comfortably as you can for you. There's no right way. So you're breathing in, breathing out, and you can just have an affirmation in your head or out loud and say, I'm ready to forgive. Show me my next person to forgive, my next event to forgive. Is it myself? Is it many? Is it 100? It doesn't matter. Whatever needs to forgive for your own growth at this time, may it start to bubble up. And if you have a notepad, just write down anything that's coming through at this time. And it may not all come out right now. It may come out as we're talking and as we're doing things. And you're going to release a lot today that you don't even know about. The beauty of energy work, the beauty of these beings of light that help humanity heal is we do not have to relive the traumas we've been through, the experiences that weren't so good that we've been in. They actually, when we're doing this work, they only allow us, or not even allow us, we only feel a small bit of the uncomfortableness, but they are taking out so much. Now, what they don't take out, and this is why people get frustrated, like, why aren't I healing fast? Why is this happening? We don't let go of everything right away because a lot of that would take away the learning lessons we came here for. We're spiritual beings having a human experience, and if they took away all our traumas and everything was just like happy and lollipops, where's our learning? Where's our journey? Life is not meant to just be happy. Life is meant to have this beautiful journey with ups and downs, but the key is we look at it for what it is. Like, wow, that was a really interesting experience. I learned a lot from that. Did I love it? No, but I can see why this person did that. They taught me something about me. And in doing that, I then love that person for teaching me a lesson I needed to learn. So I've done a lot of work to come on this side and see everything that's ever happened to me as a blessing because it helped me learn about me. A lot of people aren't there, and I get that. And like, oh no, you should be mad, or I'm mad, and I'm not going to let go. But in the end, when we don't forgive, it's like we're the ones drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work that way. A lot of people who hurt us have hurt us unconsciously. They have hurt us not remembering. How many times do you tell people, like, you really hurt me so and so at this time? And they say, what are you talking about? I don't even like remember. So we're holding on to it, but they've moved on. So here, we have one here from Shazia. My birth much passed away when I was 2 months old. Oh wow! And as I am working on myself, I realize that I have blamed myself for her death, but also blame her for leaving me. I need to forgive and let go. Okay, so we will get to that, and that is beautiful because I'm just gonna say it the way I feel it. Your birth mom is always been with you. And the beautiful thing is, as you learn to forgive her and you're going to start chipping it away, what she's on the other side saying thank you. Not that she needs to be forgiven. Just when they go on the other side, they are all knowing. But what she wants is she wants you to forgive so you can let that burden go. And when you let that go and know that she loves you so much, and it happened because there's so many different reasons why these things happen. There are contracts, there's learning experience, there's so many things which doesn't make sense to us in the 3D world. But she's now on the other side and she understands why it happened. She understands the learning lessons for her, for your, and anyone else, for yourself and for anyone else. It actually really, I guess, affected. I know it sounds strange, but there's lots of learning lessons on these things and we don't quite get it. But the fact that this is coming up and you're getting ready to let it go, we're going to go deep to let that go. So that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And she's with you and she wants you to just be so happy. So, we're going to let that go as much as you can today so you can start moving forward and knowing that she loves you dearly. And she's like, so happy for you that you're going to make that. And, some people will go through this. How can we forgive someone who I'm not talking to because they're across the country, or I don't want to talk to this person ever again? How do we forgive someone who's passed away? It's doable, and we're going to get through that. So just keep continuing. So hopefully we have some things written down, and we have a beautiful example here. Okay, so when we forgive, what we're really doing is we're breaking the chains that hold us back. So we are going to be selfish. We're going to forgive because in the end, we're holding ourselves from growth. And there's so many people out there that you hear them talking about the same thing, this happened, or they're holding it in their cells or holding it on them as a burden. When we start to forgive, we start to release all that and you just feel so much better. So when we have been wronged by someone, whether it's a coworker, a family member, whether it's intentionally or not, many who experience it hold grudges for someone. So let's say you kind of forgave your best friend for doing what she did, but every time you see her, you're like, there's something in me that doesn't like her. So those negative feelings that I'm holding against that person are actually affecting my health. So let's get selfish and let's heal today. Let's move forward. And this is such a beautiful topic. You might have tears coming up, and that's okay. That's just resistance. And we want to let things go as much as possible today. So, of course, forgiveness is good to your health. And you know what? This is just normal stuff you can find anywhere where when you forgive, you move into more of a better positive state, which is more coherent. You naturally feel better. And what happens with anytime you're feeling better? Of course, your depression, anxiety lessen. If you're drinking alcohol, it kind of lessens. You don't want as much. Your self-esteem goes up. All of that stuff, all that stuff they teach us about mindfulness, it's all connected because as we feel better, our bodies work better, right? So, of course, forgiveness is one way of feeling better, and forgiveness is a big topic. Now, what's very interesting is anger can actually stop you from healing. Anger, and what happens is if you're mad at the person, you're like, I know forgiving is a good thing, but I'm so angry. I am not forgiving that person because they did this to me and that was unthinkable. And I can give you examples. I hear people just hanging on to so much anger because of something that happened 20 years ago. Oh, every time I look at that woman, I just want to explode. 20 years of exploding every time you think of this woman? Like, you've just given 20 years of your life to that lady for no reason. Just let it go. But it's anger. It's a humanness of us, okay? So there's an anger, a need for revenge that stops us from healing. And actually, sometimes it's subconscious. We don't even know it's there. But by staying angry, you're only hurting yourself. You're stopping your growth. So today, let's let it go. Now, what happens a lot when we go through this forgiveness and people forgive? Then they get regretful. I should have forgave this like 15 years ago because I feel so much better now. Don't kind of go down there because maybe your soul's journey was to hold that anger in for, or that unforgiveness in for that long. So where you are is perfect and evolving. Don't always say, I should have been there. I should have forgiven that. It feels so good now. Like I should have just, you weren't ready. So when you're ready, you're ready. All right. So don't be upset that you're hanging on to this anger. Just say, now I'm ready to let it go. I'm ready to let it go. So there are different ways to forgive. So the first one we're going to talk about is decisional forgiveness. Now, this is like, I choose to forgive. So here, I'm going to forgive my ex-husband. I'm forgiving him. For all he's done, I'm going to forgive him. But interestingly, even though I forgave him, I kept having memories of what he did. I kept feeling like having negative thoughts. So I chose to forgive him, yet I'm not able to let something go. So I always got confused about that because how can I forgave this person, but why do I still think about it? Why is the hurt still there? Like I'm still talking to him, but I'm feeling hurt. It made no sense to me. And then I realized there's actually a deeper level. And this is where we have, so we made the decision to forgive, but now we have to forgive from an emotional forgiveness. And this one is a little bit, so we have the willpower to say, hey, I am going to forgive. And this is challenging because we have to do work. So when we're deciding to forgive someone, okay, I forgive so and so. You don't have to tell the person I forgave you. You're just gonna in your mind forgive them. But now it's in your cells. You haven't forgot. You're still remembering. You're still remembering. So next step is emotional forgiveness, and this is what we're going to get into because it's being held at an energetic level. It's in our cell memory. So when I see the person, I mentally kind of forgave them, but my cells are reacting to them. Or a lot of people will say, I forgave my ex-husband, but then when someone else is going to a divorce, I get all this anger build up. But she goes, how's that happening? I forgave my ex-husband. It's because your cells remember the trauma, and that's what we're going to work on releasing today. So in today's world, we have so much happening. So people are on edge. So people are yelling at each other for no reasons. And it's lightening up, thankfully. But I know at Christmas time, people were like getting in fights with their families over who's hosting, who's this, who's that. Like everyone's like, what's going on? So there was a lot of people vocalizing, like, I have hurt feelings because my brother said something that was appropriate, or my mom said something that, or this person. So there's a lot, and it's happening in the workplace. It's happening in between friends. It's happening between even like healers. Like I usually stay out of those because like some people will say catty things. It's like, seriously, we know better. Why would you say that? So during like when we're all in high stress, people say things they don't mean or they shouldn't have said. And although they might say, hey, I'm sorry about that, we don't really forget. So let's figure out how to forget this. So here's just like a work related example for those of us who are working in the office or on a Zoom call, but also this should just be between like two friends. So when first negative hurt feelings happen. So whether it was someone made a comment about your work, or you're not really paying attention on Zoom calls, or you know what, even a spouse telling me, you know what, your dinner lately is not very good. I don't know what's going on with you. It can be a little thing, but little things still hurt, right? Or it can be a big thing. So the negative thought, what happens is our brains focus on negative thoughts. So here I am having a great day. Then someone says, hey, you know what, Brenda? I think you really need to color your hair because it's not looking so good. I'm like, okay, what a silly comment. I'm going to let that go. But for some reason, my humanness is going to say, oh my God, like she didn't like my hair. Well, like I don't feel good about that. Why did she say that? Blah, 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 blah. So now I'm thinking about that. I'm taking a very simple example, but even a simple example like that makes us think like, why did she say that? That was rude. Now, if I allow something like that, or we allow that negative hurt feeling, now what's going to happen is it's going to put us in a mood. It's going to lower our vibration. We're going to be in a bad mood. And all of a sudden, my bad mood, because we're energetic beings sending out energy, is going to affect my family. I'm going to spread that negativity in the house, and I'm going to, like, my kids are going to get it, the pets are going to get it. A lot of pets pick up negative energy, and that's why a lot of pets get sick, because they're actually pulling in the negative energy of the home. So they kind of help to buffer us. So we're just sending negative energy like this. So we want to be careful. But then that negative energy puts our family at risk, put your own health at risk. Sometimes you're so preoccupied, you might trip over a stool that you knew was there, or slip in a bathroom because your mind's focusing on that negative thing. So how does one move forward from that? They decide to forgive, and they do the work toward it. Now, this is where, when I say there's work to be done, there are many examples where people say, Brenda, this energy work, this feeling good, this mindfulness, it's work. It is work. It is, what happens with healings, what happens with all this is a space is created. Think of all these beings of light come in. They're holding the space for you to heal, but you have to heal. You have to jump into that space and say, yes, I say, yes, I'm ready to let go. So that's why when we do healing calls or we have sessions with people, some people have tremendous healings. It's so beautiful. And other people's, it's more gradual. Some people like, I didn't feel anything. It's because the work is coming from that person. So if you're on this call today, something calls you towards forgiveness. So you're already open to it. So at this time, as we move forward, just say to your guides, say to God, say to whoever you talk to, and say, hey, I am ready to forgive. I'm giving my mental permission. Let's do it. I'm going to do the work. I'm ready to heal. Then the next step is, how do we forgive? So let's say, okay, so in the case like, okay, your coworker did something to you, fine. You talk to you kind of do those normal steps. Or say if it was a family member or someone, you just say, hey, why'd you say that about my hair? Or, hey, why'd you say that about my food? Or, hey, why'd you talk badly about this person? Or why'd you talk behind my back? Confront the person if you can. And like, I'm not saying confront everyone because some people are not confrontable, but if you can, just try to work it out that way. Now that there's some type of dialogue, you kind of released it. I'm talking about something that's more recent, going into the past, saying, hey, so-and-so, 10 years ago, you did something to me and you ripped my dress. And they're like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I don't even remember. So going back and trying to talk about something that happened 10 years ago, not usually in your best interest because they're not going to even remember. But if something just happened today, instead of letting it fester, just be honest. Say, hey, that hurt my feelings. It really did. Now, even though I said that, my feelings are still hurt because my cells are remembering, right? So here are some tips as we move forward to release the actual event. So the first thing we're going to do is decisional forgiveness. So this is where we're going to have control over our thoughts. So it's very neat to do this. So say someone's hurt you. So think of a situation where someone has hurt you, whether it's been in the past or something more recent. So you remove yourself from the situation, like you're not a victim of the event. All right. So now what you're doing is you're kind of watching that event happen as though it was not happening to you. And then you can kind of say, why would that person say that to that person? And you're that person, but you're just kind of looking at it from broader view, like it's on a stage. Well, most people who hurt people they're hurting themselves. They're in a state of worry, their state of fear. There could be a state of hurt, and also they could be in a state of stress. When we're in stress, when we're overtired, when we're worried, when we're in fear, we go into our program mode and we act like what we learned as children. So if you had a parent that put people down all the time, when you're tired, you're most likely going to put people down all the time, or that person's going to put people down. You are just in their cross of fire when they're in that mood, when they're out of themselves, not in alignment. Then, another thing is forgiving doesn't necessarily mean you've forgotten, because how many times have we forgiven, but we haven't forgotten? Like, women are bad for this. We can remember things forever, right? But we want to take out that energetic charge. So yeah, I still remember, but it doesn't bother me when I'm letting it go. It's about changing the reaction to the memories. So you have a memory, so-and-so hurt me. Okay, why did they do that? You know what? They were in a bad place at that time. I was just in their line of fire. I'm not going to be the victim. I was just in circumstance. I was there. I'm going to let it go. Now, even as you're doing this decisionally, it stays in your cells. Now, this model, the REACH model, was actually, you can find this, it's very common, it's all over the internet. It's more for anybody who wants to forgive, but they don't do energy work. They don't understand it's in their cells, but they want to do something. So this is a really neat model that, you can pass along to, say, family members who are holding on to grief. Say, hey, you can use this, and it might help you feel better. So the first thing is, so the REACH model is like, okay, recall the hurt. So you're remembering the hurt, okay. Then, like I said earlier, is okay, empathize. Why did they hurt that person? Why did they hurt me? What were they going through? And then you're going to give them the altruistic gift of forgiveness. So really, I'm going to forgive you, even though I'm not telling you, not that you've even apologized. So I'm going to use an example of, I'm going to use an example of, say, an ex-husband, and he hurt you. Okay, that's a good example. But you don't have to go to the ex-husband and say, I forgive you, okay? Because no, but I am going to forgive that person, because you know what? Everyone deserves forgiveness. So I'm going to send that forgiveness out to that person. Then you're going to commit. Now, this is funny because it says commit yourself to forgive publicly. So you're not going to go into work, say, everybody, I am going to forgive my ex-husband for all the things he's did. Okay, I just want to make sure this is publicly known. I don't think it means that, although that's what it clearly says there. What they're talking about is you want to forgive publicly, meaning, and what I'm interpreting to this is, I'm either going to talk to myself in the mirror, because I'm making an announcement to Brenda. Brenda, you're going to forgive your husband. You're going to do it. You're just going to let it go. Or you write a letter to that person, but don't send it, but just get your feelings out on paper. Dear so-and-so, you hurt me, blah, blah, blah. Write an email, but don't send the email. So anytime I was working through a lot of my forgiveness, and it took me 10 years of releasing crap that's happened, what I used to do is I would write an email, but I would always put my email address in the to. Because if I accidentally in anger sent it, well, come back to me, and I would read it. I said, oh my God, that felt so good to release it. You don't want to go and start yelling at someone like, oh, you hurt me, but I'm going to forgive you for doing this, this, and this, because it's just going to person A, not going to give you satisfaction because they're not even going to remember what they did. B, they're going to say, you're still on that? I let that go a long time ago. It's going to make you feel worse. So this is kind of between you and you. Then the key is you hold on to forgiveness. What I would actually put in the REACH model, but I can understand why they don't, is because this is for the common person who doesn't understand that we can do so much more. But what I would do under the commit publicly, I would actually have a conversation with that person's higher self. So I'm not going to go call my ex-husband up. I'm just going to say, hey, so and so, I want to talk to your essence. I want to talk to your higher self. I want to talk to your soul. And yes, this hurt me and stuff, but I forgive you. So that you can do as well. Most of you are probably open-minded enough to do something like that, but we're going to get into that in other ways as well. So then the hold, right? So it's hold on to the forgiveness, because as you're doing this reach model, so a lot of us who've been hurt have been hurt from the same person over and over, or we're holding on the hurt for so many years that it's like we have to keep releasing different layers of it. So then you have to kind of hold on to the forgiveness. What does that mean? Okay, it's bubbling up again. Let me go start from the R, recall the hurt. Okay, why did they do it? Go through those emotions over and over. And it starts to lessen. It starts to lessen. It really does lessen. But let's go through it from an energetic way, because this goes a lot deeper, and like I love this stuff, because this is where a lot of my healings got let go, and I see people make huge shifts when they heal at that energetic level. So now we're going to that deep healing, because we hold those those memories in our energy fields. Now I'm going to give you an example here of how does that happen. And there's documentation on this. It's in science, it's in literature. It actually, so say someone gets a transplant and they get a heart from a little girl, gets a heart from a little boy. When that girl recovers and the parents of the boy come see that little girl, she will be in love with that boy's parents. If that boy liked Transformers, and this is like a documented case, all of a sudden the girl is now liking Transformers, liking what the boy liked, loving the parents. Why is that? It's because our cells hold memories. So when we have organ transplants, we're taking on that person's cells, we're taking on their memories. And it has been proven, it's true, it's documented. That's how it is. A cell has memories. So we shed, our cells die, we get brand new cells. How does that new cell get our cell memory? Well, the cells around us, around them, teach it. So although our bodies will replace themselves in 7 years, we still have cell memory, because as one cell dies, it comes back, the other cells teach it. So it's all holding that memory. So we want to go to the cellular level and start releasing, because we can be emotionally triggered, but we don't know why I've forgiven that person, because your cells remember. You get constant negative thoughts that won't stop. Old memories popping out for no reason. Don't you guys just can't stand that? Like, oh my God, all of a sudden you're having lots of fun doing something, and this memory pops up from something. Okay, why is that popping up now? I was in a really happy mood. So there's stuck emotions in our energy field. And when they're coming up, I believe they're part of our healing. It's like they're coming to the surface. So we're being told, hey, time to let it go. And if we ignore it, it'll just come up again for release. And we ignore it, it's going to come up again for release. I believe anything that happens to us is a gift from the universe for us to face it, work through the challenge, work through the issue, and then it actually transmutes. Now, unfortunately, then we feel good, and another one comes up. So it's an endless journey, but while we're lightening the load, we're becoming more conscious. As we become more conscious, our vibration goes up. As our vibration goes up, we think more positive. As we think more positive, our life changes. And it's a slow, gradual thing. And you're the powerful being that can do this. So let's let go and forgive. Now, 2 ways you can get it from the energy field are there's Ho'oponopono and affirmations. And we're going to go through Ho'oponopono. Now this I kind of, I've talked about this before, because I love this. This is so powerful. I've been using this for about 13 years. And whenever something bubbles up, I'm like, okay, I can't say I always remember. I'll try other things. I like, oh, Ho'oponopono. It's so simple. And if you're interested in learning about it, there's a really great book that really kind of goes into how it works. But it's an old Hawaiian powerful healing practice, and it can heal deep emotional and physical healing as well. So what happens with this is you're thinking about the person that hurt you, you're thinking about the event, and you say 4 simple phrases over and over. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. Now, that can be said in your head. So you don't have to say this out loud. So the best thing that I love to do, I never feel like I'm waiting. So someone will say, oh, I'm sorry I kept you waiting, Brenda. No, I wasn't waiting, because generally I am doing Ho'oponopono in my head for something that's bothering me. So, okay, this thought comes in. I'm just sitting in the grocery store saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. This is very powerful. I have, when people are going through a nasty divorce, I'll either go to whoever I'm working with, the husband or the wife, and I'll just say, when you think of the situation, you can think about your spouse, you can think about the kids, what they're going through. Sit there quietly and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you, over and over. And they'll say, well, I don't want to use those words for my ex. I hate him. And I just say, okay, look at it like this. It's not coming from you. You're not saying it to their face. You're saying it in your head. So think of you as, I am not Brenda. I am an ambassador of the universe. And I see Brenda and I see her husband, and I am saying Ho'oponopono for the whole situation. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. So I'm kind of removing myself. That's still very powerful. It works, because a lot of people are in touchy situations. They're like, I am not saying those words, even if it's in my head for that person. But if you can do that, you are doing tremendous healing to yourself, to the person, and it really helps the whole situation really move into a very easier flow of things. So a lot of divorces that could have been extremely nasty, when this is used, like, oh, that was like a really, we got along during it, the kids were okay, because that is such a healing thing from both ends. There's forgiveness happening. There's old memories that are getting softened. I remember when I got divorced from my husband, I was in separation at the time. I'm very easy to read. So I'm sitting in a restaurant and some lady comes over. She actually ruined my meal, because I hate when people read my field. And she goes, oh, I have to tell you something. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, please tell me something. And she's like, oh, you and your husband, you're going through this divorce. Well, just so you know, he's more scared than you are. And I'm just like, yeah, I kind of knew that, but okay, thank you. So I thanked her. And it's true, when we don't realize that I'm going through something, but that person's also going through something. So when you look at it, you're healing both of you. So if you can do this, it is very, very strong. Now, some people will say, Brenda, Ho'oponopono doesn't work. I've been doing it for 1 week. It's saying it over and over. It's not working. Be patient, because some of the issues we have are very deep. So things, when we're doing energy work, when we're meditating, when we're doing self-love things, magic is happening in the quantum field. And for it to start to come into our reality where we actually see it, it takes some time. Sometimes it happens very quickly. So some people, like, I said it like 3 days and pow, I had this like magical moment. Ho'oponopono can work to forgive, but it also can be used for other things. Like when I first, that's like many years ago, 13 years ago, I was working at a company where our boss was so mean. She was yelling and screaming at everyone all the time. And I said, well, I'm going to use Ho'oponopono on her, but she's like so incredibly mean. But I also use affirmations. So when I would say, my boss appreciates me. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, and thank you. When I think about her yelling at me, because I hated being yelled at, Well, like 1 week later, she's about to give everyone a yelling. She's like, Brenda, go in my office. You don't need to hear this. So I thought I was in even more trouble. So I went in the office and oh shit, what have I done? And after she gave everyone yelling, she sat with me. She goes, Brenda, I like you. You're smart. And blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden she started to treat me very differently. I'm like, what is this stuff? Like, am I like using this? Like, how is this working? But it really works. And it's not cheating. Some people say, oh, you're cheating. No, we all have the power within us to move into a positive place, to forgive and to break things up, the old energy that's no longer serving us. It's not cheating. It is using the tools that's available to humanity. So that one is a very good one. If you can put a check mark, you will get this in the tips and trick sheet. You also get the reach model. It's there. So another way of doing things is releasing it from your field through an affirmation. Now, this affirmation, some people find it hard and like, I do not want to read this. But why don't we read it to heal ourselves, to forgive ourselves? Because we'll start with us. Well, some people might say, no, that's too hard. I don't want to work on me. I want to work on this. Okay, so how's this? Think of whatever situation you want to start letting go. We're going to do some more work after this, but this is a really powerful affirmation that you can use over and over when something bubbles up. And we'll read it together. So, even though there's a part of me that does not want to forgive, I'm going to say me, I give myself full intention and permission to forgive and release all stuck, negative, and unharmonized emotions created and interwoven by the situation. I give myself permission to forgive and heal at all energetic levels from this event, and I set myself free. And in doing so, as I forgive, it will release me from all the negative emotions, resistance, and blocks. I ask that this entire situation is surrounded by love and light, and I ask that all parties be free. This is very powerful because what you're asking for is for full forgiveness from you, and you're releasing yourself, you're releasing that person. And beings of light, when we ask, they come in, they help. And they're going to release whatever is beneficial for you to release. And it's also going to help others. Very powerful. That is also in the tips and trick sheet. I do some type of form of forgiveness often as things bubble up. Either it's for Ho'oponopono. Generally, it's me forgiving me. Because I think the hardest person on me was me all my life. So I always think, okay, wow, I was so hard on myself. I didn't love myself. I treated myself mean. I had no boundaries. So I have a lot of like stuff that bubble up and say, okay, Brenda, you didn't love yourself. Yeah, I get it. So it's self-work, and that affirmation helps me. But it can be used in many different situations. And did anyone find it hard to read that? Like, does anyone say, yeah, I could do this, or no way, I'm not going to do this. It's way too hard. It sucks, actually. So I'm just interested if anyone wants to put in the chat box. And you can just send it directly to me if you don't want to send it to the group. Because if you're having resistance with that, we'll break that. And we're going to do another healing closer to the end of this. Okay, I'll go to the next thing here. All right, so when we hurt others. So this is pretty interesting, right? Because we can forgive others, but again, forgiving yourself is the hardest. And I think the reason I can go to my self-forgiveness now is I've spent 9-10 years forgiving all these people that have hurt me. Then I just like, okay, I've done them. Now I need to forgive myself, which was very hard for me. But now I forgive myself pretty easily. So sometimes we hurt people unintentionally. Like we may have said something and we feel bad about it. And although we've apologized, we still feel like, oh my gosh, why did I cause pain in someone else? Like I thought I was a nice person. Or forgiveness can be difficult because usually we hurt the ones we love or the ones that are helping us, right? So sometimes we feel like we don't deserve forgiveness. So because I didn't treat someone nice, I don't deserve to forgive myself. So I'm just going to suffer with this self regret instead. I'm going to suffer. But what we need to do is just let go, because we can't live in guilt or shame or embarrassment or regret, because that are very low vibrations. They're very sad emotions, and they don't let us move into that higher vibration. And it's interesting because we can go up and down that vibrational scale based on how we're feeling. So again, feeling bad, low, shamed, embarrassed, brings you very low. So you want to clear out of that and start forgiving yourself. Sometimes we punish ourselves. It's very interesting because the punishment can actually come from past lives. We have self we hold things in the back, and there might be something like, I don't deserve to heal in this lifetime because in another lifetime I did something that wasn't good and I don't deserve to move forward. So sometimes when we're doing energy work, we're actually we are breaking a lot of things we don't even understand. No, we're very multi-dimensional beings, and there's a lot of things happening in the background that we don't know about. And what's happening is, as we're releasing, we feel lighter, but we don't know exactly what we let out. You don't have to know what we're letting out. It's just let it go and just leave it. Leave it to your guides, to God, to the light energy to do whatever it needs to so you can heal. All we really need to do is be willing participants, setting the intention and doing what we can. There's this thing is like, as we heal, there's some people that read every book, go to different energy healers. They're doing all this stuff, but they're not really making progress. They have tons of knowledge, but unless they're in alignment, unless their vibration starts to, you're not really healing. You're just a book of knowledge. So there's this thing called alignment. So how do you get into alignment? That's kind of the tricky thing. That's the receiving mode. That is, I would say, one of the easiest ways to get in to alignment through this energy that we're in is affirmations. I give intent to heal. I deserve to heal. I am loved. I'm ready to forgive at all levels. I'm going to forgive myself and anyone that has ever hurt me. And as these things bubble up and I want to cry, I'm okay. I'm going to honor those feelings. A lot of times what we do is when we cry, get upset, we just suppressing them again. So these feelings come up. We're mad, we're sad, we're angry. And instead of releasing them, I don't have time for this right now. We put them back in our field. So they're coming up for release. So you honor them. Okay, I'm having these feelings. I don't know exactly why. You don't have to exactly know where it's coming from. Just say, I just know I'm feeling this deep sadness right now. So I honor these feelings, and I'm asking beings of light to transmute them and replace them with light and love. I'm ready to let them go. And why I use, like, I move my hands, when I'm pushing away something out of my field, and you can do this, I'm ready to let this memory go. You're actually moving it out of your field. And if you've never done this before and it feels strange, you don't have to do it. But if it's coming naturally and you just want to say, get out. You know, some kids, when they're really angry and they just say, just leave me alone, they're actually like energetically pushing the person away. So you can just take it out. And then when I want something, okay, come, beings of light, Archangel Michael, I need some love right now. I'll just bring in their love and give it to my heart, or bring it in, because it's pulling in that love. So you can move your hands. You don't have to, but you know, sometimes people just say, well, my hands just started moving, because you're moving that energy. But it doesn't have, you don't need to move your hands to move the energy. It's still moving. It's just, sometimes I just think it just feels good to push it along. And next, forgiving yourself. So that is very important, because when you forgive yourself, that's one of the greatest things you can do for yourself, because it gives you the freedom to start to heal. And you're going to start to heal at all levels, because when we're not forgiving, our energy fields are stiff. We're not going to heal physically, mentally, emotionally. We will hold on to our weight. We will hold on to our sickness, because we can't let it go, because we're like all rigid. Start the healing process. And we have, like, our physical body. We have an etheric layer, a mental, emotional layer. Some of them are really rigid for people who have just says, I can't afford to be sad right now. I have a family to run. I have a business to run. I have to go to work. Okay, those feelings, yeah, go back. I'm not dealing with them. But what we're getting right now on earth is this huge urge. Come on, heal, come on, heal, come on. Because we're all healing as a collective. As I heal, earth heals. As earth heals, I heal. As I heal, the human collective heals. As you heal, the human collective heals, the earth heals. We're all in this together. Our vibrations increasing. We're letting go of all the stuff that holds us back. And as we move forward, we start to shift and like, hey, you know what? I haven't thought about that issue forever. Oh my gosh. Then what happens is when you start doing this and this, what happens is you're like, wow, I let that go. Because now I can think about this person and I don't feel anything in my body. It feels nice and relaxed. I'm okay. Now, it would be nice if we stopped thinking about things in like at all, but it doesn't mean the memories go away. What's happening is the emotional triggers go away. So that's how you know you really, really healed. I had a client, there's a lot of healing stories when it comes to forgiveness, but this one was pretty cool. This person came to me for a very first visit, and we were doing, I think it was being therapy, and they said, you know, my body's pretty sick right now. I have no idea why, but I'm going through a lot. And I feel like I'm hanging on to something, but I can't let it go. I don't know what it is. So I just did a beam therapy and a Reiki session. But very interestingly, there was a lot of release in that. That person then went out with a group of friends. And one of the friends was someone who she was having a hard time forgiving. She says, I've forgiven her, but I didn't forgive her. Part of me didn't forgive her. But that session, because she came in ready, that session she released a big release, a big block. After that, she went straight to dinner to meet her friends. She says dinner was different. I actually felt like I did before the event when she hurt me. It's like all that icky feeling I was getting in my body was now gone. And it was just an energetic block that wasn't ready, that wasn't letting go. The cell memories were there, so she forgave the girl. The girl still made her angry at some level, and that energy would just went poof, and there she was feeling the same. They all had a good cry saying, wow, it feels different, and they all felt it, and they went back to being, you know, in a better state than they've been. So why is it that she was able to release like that in a session? She was just ready. How does one become ready? Intention, working towards themselves. When we're dreaming, we're processing things all the time. Affirmations: I'm ready to heal, I'm ready to forgive. Show me the next person I'm going to forgive, and just keep working through things like that. So I'm going to turn off, actually what I want to do, I'm going to show you guys the tips and trick sheet so you know what you're going to be getting. Give me 1 second. Gonna move this over. Okay, so the tips and trick sheets just kind of looks like this. It's a PDF file. So here, yeah, it's the first one. Okay, so the PDF file's here. So it's going to be everything we spoke about today. We're going to do now a healing. We're going to a deep healing right now as a group of meditation healing. But it has all the things we spoke about. So you don't need to go through a deep healing with me. You say, hey, I have Ho'oponopono there. Hey, I understand emotional forgiveness over decisional. You know what? I'm going to forgive. I'm going to do it myself. There's the reach model. So I'm going to work through those steps. So everything we spoke about is here. All right. And if you ever have any questions or you're like, you know, I'm really stuck on something, you can always reach out and I can help you out. There's no reason to stay stuck in something, because staying stuck in something just stops you from growing, stops you from being who you were really meant to be. And as one person heals, humanity heals. So we just keep chipping away at this stuff layer by layer by layer. And I know it gets frustrating, and people are like, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 3 years. Why is this happening? So I will explain beam therapy. Someone's asking, and beam therapy saved my life. And I know I don't talk enough about it. So I'll just give you a very interesting story here. Well, I think it's interesting. I was a mess. My body was failing. I was very sick. I was in a marriage that I didn't know if it was bad, let's say, but my body was failing, and I was deeply sad, but no one knew because I had smiling depression. So I was going to give up on life and I said, okay, this is it. I'm leaving the planet. I'm so sick. So one day I laid on the floor and I just surrendered. And I said, God, if I'm ready to leave this planet, then take me. But if I'm going to stay, then show me my next step because I'm so confused. The very next day, I go to work and my boss did something to me so bad. And I sent out my resume. Within 20 minutes, I got an interview for a job at Maple Leaf Foods head office. So I called. I said, yeah, I'll come for the interview. Very fast, I left one company to the next. I get to this company, didn't know anyone there, and I get invited to a party. I was in working pension benefits, and they said, "Listen, come to a party. There's a psychic reader's going to be there." And I go, "Oh, I don't do psychic readers." And they said, "Oh, no, no, you're not going to be read. Um, four girls are going to be read. There's 14 of us. We're just going to chit chat." Like, okay, so I go to the party. Nobody knows my situation. Nobody knows what's happening with me. And the psychic reader comes down, and one girl didn't come to get read. She goes, "I always do for people. I need one of you." So she goes, "You." I said, "Oh no, I don't do these type of readings." She goes, "It's about your son." Now, nobody knew, but my son was behavioral at the time. He's almost 17 now. He was 4. And I'm like, "How does she know it's about my?" She goes, "I have some important information about your son." I'm like, "Okay." I was at wit's end about my son. So I'm like, "Okay, I have nothing to lose." So I go have a reading. And she tells me, "Your son's very psychic. Because of that, his energy field's so open, he's being bombarded. Get him this thing called beam therapy. 3 sessions, he's going to be fine." She goes, "By the way, you're supposed to be a healer and your husband's not nice to you, and that's why you're very sick." I was like, what the heck? Now, I was a big mess at that time, so I ignored that last 2 stuff, and I have it all written down. Like I was like completely shocked that she said that, but I focused on my son. So I called Dr. Beatty. She has no availability, 2 years waiting list. She sends me to this lady, a practitioner, and I take my son. Don't know anything about energy work. My 4-year-old son driving to Pickering. We're sitting in this lady's house and she's doing this thing, which I'll explain in a minute, beam therapy. 3 sessions, this kid is like night and day. Now, a normal kid's here. My son was always here. All of a sudden he was here. So yeah, still a little bit difficult, but oh my gosh, so much easier. So the teacher's like, "What have you done to this kid?" They want to drug him up at the time. I wouldn't have never done that. But I'm like, "Oh, energy work. I don't know." So I called Dr. Beatty. I said, I'm so like, "Do you teach this stuff?" And she goes, "You're a mess. You need beam therapy. Come see me, set up an appointment. I'll work with you." And as I started to get beam therapy done, now I was a mess, so I didn't feel it working. So something inside me kept saying, "Go get the work done." But when I went to get it done, I felt nothing, just numb. I just sat there doing what she said to do. And I told her, I said, "I feel nothing, but there's something that's compelling me to come." She goes, "There are miracles happening in your quantum field. Just stick it out and you'll see." Well, after my 5th session, I don't know what happened, but I left my husband. I just, like, it wasn't planned. I just told him, "You have not been nice to me for 22 years. I don't know what's happening inside me, but something says like I matter and you don't think I matter, so we're done." And he's like, "What's wrong with you? Stop seeing that doctor." And I'm like, "I can't." So I had 100 beam sessions over the years. I've done lots of energy work, but my case was different. I was really, really, really bad off back in the day. So energy work saved my life. Beam therapy saved my life. And the beauty of beam therapy is it can be done on video. You're sitting across from each other. I had it done in a doctor's office. She's a medical doctor who did beam therapy. She's the one who developed it. She's in her 80s now, and in her 30s, she was a fly-in doctor in Africa, and she was hearing noises or voices at night. And she's like, "Okay, I'm losing my mind. I'm a medical doctor. I'm not supposed to be hearing noises or voices." Then she went to go swim with whales, and the animal communicator said, "You're going to create a process." So again, another strange thing for her. When she went back to Africa, she started hearing the voices again, but this time she wrote down the process. With beam therapy, she then started using the process in the village. So there are kids that were always playing, some that had so much trauma that they were very withdrawn and just sat in the corner and didn't do anything. So she started working with the children who had trauma. And as she was working with these kids, they started to get better. And I was like, how are these kids getting better suddenly? She's like, I don't know. I got this process. I'm doing it. The neat thing is, I've known Dr. Beatty for a long time now. I always ask her, how are you able to do this under OHIP? On Thursdays and Fridays, she worked with mainly MS people because that's a very emotional disease. She had a waiting list of 2 years, very hard to get in. By the grace of God, I got in, and she trained me, and I've been doing it on people like for that long, but saying, wow, it's amazing. So beam therapy, what it does is called bioenergetic access release method. So what it's doing is releasing cell memories. We played with it many different ways, and what we were thinking is it's cheating karma, but now I know we're allowed to cheat karma in this new energy. So you're kind of holding on different chakras, and there's just points. So someone would say physical trauma, and they're just kind of holding different areas on their body, but what's happening is cell memories are releasing. Like, it's not just one cell memory, there's thousands of them. Let's say I had a trauma at 3 years old. The energy just can't pull out that trauma at 3 years old. It has to come out slowly in stages that are safe, because our 3D bodies can't just let go of everything all at once. It has to come out gradually. So it's like a layer. So what happens with beam therapy is your higher self creates the layer. It goes through all your cell memories. Okay, from when you were born to when you were in your mom's tummy, and even before, in the past lives, if you believe in that. And it creates this icky layer. So a lot of people who come in for beam therapy have this icky layer. There's things that need to be forgiven. There's traumas, things they've seen on TV, horror movies, all this crazy stuff. It all stays in our field. Things we saw in the news. Things we should forgive, but we don't even remember them. They're in our field. And what beam therapy does is it peels that layer away that's created by your higher self, and it leaves the earth plane. And you get energetically lighter and lighter and lighter. And then one day there's like the light bulb saying, whoa, all what beam therapy is doing and all energy work does is you're already a magnificent being. We just have resistance and darkness and crap all around us, and it's just shifting it out, it's pulling it out, it's pulling it out, pulling it out. So beam therapy is very effective, and I always tell Dr. Beatty, although she's the modest little, like, she's so cute, she always say, no, Brenda, that's not true. If it wasn't me, you would have found your salvation somehow. But I always tell her she saved my life. So when I work with people, I kind of mix a lot of the things I've learned over the years, but when I do beam therapy, I do it in the way Dr. Beatty taught me, because beam therapy is her baby. And at one point, she only wanted me to do beam therapy. And she goes, don't do anything else. I just want you to be a beam therapy person. But there was a calling in my heart. I told her, I love beam therapy. I do, but I go, there's just so much more I need to learn and amalgamate it. But out of honor for her, I only do beam therapy as it was taught to me. And it's very powerful. And so it goes into deep healing. But where we're going to go to right now is we're going to go into a meditation. And in this meditation, I'm actually going to pull out a pendulum that I usually use on individual sessions. I can't really explain the pendulum. Well, I can. So the pendulum, I know I don't need it to work, okay? It doesn't really do the work itself, but it brings me into a state of focus. And in this state of focus, I can go really deep. And I cannot do this on a call with too many people, because it takes a lot of energy for me. So what I do when I do these healing calls, I kind of said, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to go very deep with the people who show up. Give me the right people who are ready to release. And then magically, people trickle in. And I say, okay, perfect. If I said, okay, I'm going to do this instead, and it can be open to more people, then more people will be in. But for this, I really need a smaller group. I am going to, I'm sorry, I'm just going to drink a second. As we do this, I'm going to put the music on very low, and I'm going to have everyone just kind of listen to my words. Usually in the healing calls, I'm usually talking to my guides, but I don't really tell people what I'm saying. I usually whisper it. Some people notice my mouth moving. I'm really talking very low. But today I'm going to talk out loud so you hear the words that are coming. This is not, when I do this, it's nothing I practiced. It's just, it's going to, whatever's coming out is because of whoever's on the call right now and what's needed to release what's there bubbling up. So it's almost like now, beam therapy has to be done one-on-one. Unity field healing has to be one-on-one. But this work can go very deep, even with all of you on the call, as long as there's not too many people, because it does take a toll on me. But we're gonna go. We're gonna go, and it's gonna be really nice. So just so you know, with the pendulum, is using my body to move. All right, and my guides come through me anytime I'm doing work. It's my guides that are coming through. I am not doing anything. I'm just stepping out of the way, really. And I do communicate with them by talking, but they're actually, I can see them doing the work. So the when they move it like this, when it comes to this type of work, they're just assessing the group right now to seeing, okay, what's ready to release. And they're just going to show you right now, or I'm going to show you the pendulum will move one way. And when it moves this way, it's actually putting in positive energy to the situation. It's putting positive energy into your fields. And then now they're going to show you moving it the other way. And when it goes the opposite way, the counterclocks, what's happening here is they're pulling out negativity, they're pulling out anything that's stuck and things like that. Sometimes the pendulum kind of goes, whoa, and there's nothing to like the speed of it, what it's doing. Don't even worry about it. Sometimes when I work with a client and sometimes the pendulum flies out of my hand, it's because it's just going so fast. And then people are like, oh no, what did that mean? It meant that I wasn't holding it tight enough. That's all it meant. So if it's not like, I know my guides tell me I do not need this to work, but what it does is it brings focus to my intention. And really what I'm doing in a session, and now I'm reading a bunch of quantum physics stuff that and I now realize why it's so powerful, is I am not looking at your issues. I'm not looking at what needs to leave. I am looking at you in your perfect state of where you're going to be when you let all that go. So I am holding you in your perfect, magnificent self. And while things are flying off that you no longer need, yeah, that's all well and good, but I'm just holding you in a place where I know you're going to go. And it may take a week, it might take a year, it may take many years, because our healing journeys are all very, actually, I don't believe we can get over a big hump in a week, but I don't believe healing ever stops. It is a life journey. And my understanding is we can live 1, 2, 3 lifetimes and not get it done. So always be kind. Where I am is perfect and evolving. But why healing is so important in this time is, yes, we're in the ascension process, but whatever we do in this lifetime, we get to keep the benefit of it. Whereas in other lifetimes, we have these things called karmic loops and karmic loop and a karmic loop. So what happens is if you believe in reincarnation, you come back, you start from here again, you go through life, you come back, start from here again. In this lifetime, we're allowed to break the karma, break all the stuff. So here I came at the lowest of the low in this lifetime. And I've been working and working and working and working and working. I'm making my way up. And that's why I never stop working on me. I've been working on myself every day for the last 13 years, and I will never stop, because every day as I chip away resistance, I'm getting higher and higher. And when I pass away, the next time I come in, I'm going to be at that level, not down here. So I'm going to do as much work as I can in this lifetime, but that's just my personal choice. I like to stay clear for my clients. I like to stay clear for me. But some people have one session and like, Bren, I feel so good, and their life changed. They're more positive and they're good. That's all they need. Some people who I usually think light workers, people who are here to hold the light, we kind of have a lot more traumas to release for some reason. It's like we're picked on more. So people in that boat tend to need more sessions, but I don't put anyone on a program. It's a real personal choice. And there's so much things you can do. That tips and trick sheet I gave you for forgiveness, keep chipping away at that forgiveness. Something bubbles up that pisses you off. So someone Do something about it. Don't let it just sit there, because the universe is going to then give it back to you in another way. So when something comes up, say, thank you for showing me my issue today. Or someone yells at me, I'm like, what was it in me today that allowed that to happen? Okay, I'm not a victim. I create everything that's happening in my life. So I say, okay, let me figure out where this is. May it bubble up. Let's release it, transmute it, and bring in the light. So I'm always chipping away to bring in more light, because that's how, as we bring in more consciousness, more light, we're actually going to start activating our bodies and our body's smart system. So all these diseases that we have on earth today are no longer going to bother us, because we're only using 30% of the average person uses 30% of their innate smart system on their body. Once it kicks in, and lots of these healing sessions will kick it in so everything gets seen and kind of hangs out for a bit, but then it kind of drops back to that person's natural thing. But when it's up and it's looking around, it catches stuff and goes, okay, Brenda's got something wrong in her body, and boom, 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 all of a sudden it's healing. I didn't even have to know what was happening. We all have crap happening in our body. So just allow the healing. So we're going to start saying, I allow my body to heal. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to forgive. I forgive myself. Affirmations are so important. Okay, before we start, is anyone have an objection to my pendulum? Okay, I'm going to ask, does anyone have an objection to my pendulum? I'm getting a no. I think we're okay. But if you do, privately tell me. I don't have to use it. I can wave my arms instead. I don't wave my arms as much when I use this. I'm not sure what people would find more weird on those calls, the pendulum or my hands. So I just always figure the hands are better. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into a state of releasing whatever we need to release. So get comfortable. If you have a paper where you've written all your stuff, you can take a glance at it and say, I am ready to release this stuff. I'm ready to forgive. I'm ready to forgive me. And I'm ready to forgive anything else that I may not be aware of, that's in my field, that's ready to go. I allow it to go. I allow it to go. And in that, we're just going to let things happen. And if you feel emotional during it, that's okay. Just allow the emotions to go through. All right. So I'm going to put on the music, and please tell me if the music is not loud enough, too loud, because I do want you to hear me talking. And this is a new speaker I'm using, so I don't know how sensitive it is to music in the background. All right, give me a sec. And if you guys want, I can even turn off the music. So can you hear the music, and can you hear my voice? Someone can say yes or no. Music up, music down, music off. Okay. All right, I don't see any messages. So, oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're good. All right, perfect. All right. So now what I want everyone to do, okay, thank you, everyone. Perfect. I want everyone, you can either close your eyes or open your eyes. It doesn't matter, but I want you to take a deep breath. And as this breath is going through your body, we're going to ask these beautiful beings of light to come in. Everyone has their own team with them. And we are going to ask for a deep healing to allow forgiveness. We want this forgiveness to happen for an events, people who have hurt us, people who are no longer here. This is where you can forgive someone who's no longer here or you no longer talk to. You can talk to them directly. They all have a soul. They have an essence. They have a higher self that will love to hear that you're ready to forgive. Because when we forgive, we are helping that person grow. We're releasing them energetically. They might not know they've done anything, but energetically, they are being tied to that event. So in the case where we have the mom who passed away, say, Mom, I'm ready to forgive you. I forgive myself. I release any guilt I have. I release any anger I had towards you. And I'm so sorry for all those years that I let that. That's okay. There's no problem. Just let that go. The intention is there. So we're going to go in. It might be one person in front of you you're thinking about. It might be many situations. You might have flashes of all these things that are starting to just peel away. I just want you to take a few deep breaths and say, I am ready to forgive. I'm ready to heal. I am releasing the hurt. I'm releasing the cords, the bindings, the hooks, the energetic ties to this sadness, to these hurt feelings, to these people. And I only want what is good for them and good for me. I'm releasing them from the ties that hold them to my burdens and the burdens that I hold through their ties. I'm asking to break all of it. And all the guides are going to come through, and you can almost see them coming in. Archangel Michael comes in with this sword of justice, and he kind of just severs anything that is no longer serving you and not allowing you to move forward. He's disintegrating it. And these beings of light are doing what they need to then heal your wounds so those cords and things like that do not reattach. So they heal your wounds. And what they do is, if there's a cord with someone and that's been like because of something that's happened, when they sever that cord, they don't want the other person to like be uncomfortable. So if that person needs extra love, they'll actually grab that cord and stick it into divinity so that person will get a flow of love directly to them, and whatever you need will happen to you or for you. So right now they're pulling things out, they're doing what they need to do, and you're gonna start to feel, well, you may not feel it, but you might feel waves of coolness as the kind of the heaviness is leaving. You might feel warmness weaving through. Some people feel like a tingling or goosebump feeling. Some people feel a warmth. You might feel a hug from someone on the other side that says, thankfully, I just want you to be happy. I've always been with you. I just know what happened. It happened for a reason that I can't explain, because it's kind of like a 5D explanation that you'll understand one day. But all you need to know is I've always loved you. I've always been with you, and you're ready to heal and let it go. And we have these beautiful beings. Everyone has beings around them doing the work that's needed. So whether you're releasing sadness, hurt feelings, traumas, experiences, and some of us, it's a one-time event, but for sometimes this person or this event could have been something that happened throughout our lifetime. It's something that repeated. So we may not be able to pull all of it out today, but we're going to pull out a really nice chunk of it and say, we're no longer needing this. Just let it go. I forgive. I deserve to feel better. I deserve to forgive that person. I deserve to forgive me. Take a deep breath. And as you're breathing out, you're just letting out all that negativity. You don't need it anymore. And what happens to that negativity? It gets taken off the earth plane. And it gets dealt with in the way that these beings of light deal with this type of stuff. We don't have to understand it. But do know that you are loved. You're magnificent. You are powerful. And this resistance, these sadness, the traumas that hold us back are being pulled out of your field. How much you can handle in a session, it's all being done by your higher self. All that I am doing is creating a space, and your higher self is doing what's needed for you with your beings of light, with your guides that know exactly what you need. Just keep breathing through it. Might be uncomfortable. Sometimes people see things coming off and hooks, so they feel something jolting out. Just know that whatever is happening is being done for your highest good, for the highest good of others. It is completely done in love and light. It's being done specifically for you. Whatever you need is being done right now. And the pendulum just kind of goes back and forth. Sometimes it repeats it in the same way. Just reassess. Right now, they're pulling out more junk, just pulling it out, taking it out, no longer needed, no longer serving this person. Take it, take it, take it out. She's ready to release it. Let it be gone. And it does not come back. Whatever's releasing today will not come back. Interestingly, people will say, well, I know I healed something, but yet I'm still having those memories. Big traumas, things that have been with us our entire life need to be chipped away in percentages safely. So today we're taking a big percentage out, but we can't take it all out in some cases. So there might be another layer that comes up. And when that layer comes up, you deal with it. You don't ignore it. It is a gift from your guide saying, okay, you can heal this too. And then you do one of those methods. Right now we're working on a layer, but this layer is holding for each of you many, 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 many different things in it. It could be a trauma from when you were 2 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, in your mom's tummy. We pick up traumas from our mothers in our mother's tummy. If you were a girl and your parents wanted a boy, you have trauma from not being the boy. It goes into very interesting things that can affect who we are, how we feel about ourselves. It can be bigger things, maybe you're in your mom's tummy and she's talking about, oh my gosh, I'm always feeling so sick from this pregnancy. What is this baby doing to me? That hurts our feelings. Then we go into life. We get picked on at school. We get told we're not good enough from our siblings. A lot of us have issues from our siblings who picked on us, told us we're ugly, not good enough, nobody likes you, your parents really didn't want you around, I heard them talking, you were a mistake. All those things, very hurtful, but kids don't realize they're hurting their siblings. And we live with those things. We live with that feelings like, I'm not good enough, I'll never be good enough, I'm ugly, I'm stupid, I don't belong. This is where we just need to let it go, because it's false. It's all false. You are a magnificent being. You are loved beyond belief. You are never alone. You have your own spiritual guides around you all the time. You are very magnificent. And we're just peeling away the stuff that makes you feel like you're not magnificent, because it's all false. Right now they're doing some more work, or they're pulling out more negativity's leaving, and it's coming out. Like, I just feel it, and there's so much, and I don't know who's it. It's all just kind of mixed into one ball of crap. Lots of good release happening here. Now, whether you're sensitive and you can feel it, or whether you're just relaxed and feeling nothing, you're releasing. Now, if there's somebody that you hold in the darkness because you think what they did to you was unforgivable, I want you to think of that person. And right now they're in a cave, they're in a dark cave, because we've said, you've hurt me so bad, I never want to forgive you. And you're staying there. That's where you belong, in that dark cave. But today, if you're ready, we are going to ask you to extend your arm out. Extend your arm that is glowing with beautiful light and say, I forgive you. You are no longer needed to stay in that dark cave, that dark place I put you in, where I thought you were no good. I forgive you, and I'm pulling you towards the light. And as I pull you towards the light, I pull myself towards the light, because I cannot hold myself in the light when I hold someone else in darkness. And I now realize that my healing has to do with all healing. So as you're extending your arm to that person, to that event, to whatever it was, it could be you're extending your arm to yourself and saying, no more. You do not belong to be, you do not belong in that darkness. You belong in the light. You are a beautiful being. You belong to the kingdom of heaven. And you're reaching out, you're grabbing their hand, and you're walking them towards the light. And as you do that, you're releasing them and you're releasing yourself. And you can repeat this to another person, or maybe that person's jump back into that cave. No, I really, truly am ready to release you and forgive you at every cellular level of my being, at an emotional level, a mental level, an etheric level, my physical level. I forgive you. And I'm asking the cell memories to forgive this person. And again, you're going to reach out your arm. And if you're feeling that person, for some reason I'm getting this vision that the person's too far in the cave and you don't want to go in, your arm's not reaching. So in that case, we are going to ask Archangel Michael, please come in with a beautiful golden lasso. And Archangel Michael's coming in to help, and he's getting his lasso ready, and he's throwing it into a very dark, long, deep cave. And we're asking that person, grab on to the lasso, grab on to the light, because you no longer belong in that darkness. And now we are helping Archangel Michael pull that beautiful rope of love. And as it's coming up, this person is now coming into the light. And that person is so thrilled that you have forgiven them. So thrilled that you have taken them out of the darkness. They bow down. And Archangel Michael blesses both of you with his beautiful golden light. And you both go on your way into love, joy, feeling lighter, freer, knowing that you have forgiven. You're going to take a deep breath and you're going to anchor that into your heart. I am free, I am free, I am free. I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. And I set you free and I set myself free. Just going to continue the work. And if you feel there's somebody else in that cave, somebody else in a dark hole, it could be somebody dangling off a cliff, whatever it is, whatever you're sensing, whatever you're thinking of. And some people may not be seeing this visually, it's just something they know. They're like, okay, I know I'm holding this person in a dark place and I want to extend my hand. And I'm having a hard time extending my hand because it doesn't reach because I put them so far from me. And then you can ask Archangel Michael to come in with his lasso. It's a golden lasso. And he can help throw it out, wrap it around that person, and pull them back into the light. And as they come out, you can bow to them and say, I forgive you. And as I forgive you, I forgive myself. And as I forgive both of us, I set us both free. I'm ready to move forward in my life. I am no longer a victim. Anything that's ever happened to me was my doing at some level. I forgive myself for it. I forgive those who have hurt me, and I'm ready to move forward. I'm going to claim this life now. My life changes now. As of today, I will see things with a different perspective. I will love myself, and I will love humanity. Nobody will be held in the darkness. And if I do that, I will have the awareness that I have to do some work to take them out of the darkness and bring them into the light, because when I do that, I am helping myself, I am helping humanity, and I'm helping that person grow. I deserve love. I deserve love. I deserve love. I deserve to be free. I deserve to be free. I deserve to be free. I deserve to forgive. I deserve to forgive. I deserve to forgive. I forgive myself. I love myself. And no matter if there's something that's hiding, something that doesn't want to be released, these guys are going in and they're peeling it away. Nothing can hide. Anything that's ready to release is going to be released today. And tonight, as you sleep, you're going to keep processing. And as things come up, say, I forgive myself. But if you want to have a good sleep and don't want to be part of the processing, you have the right to ask your guides. I know I'm going to be processing tonight. I know I'm going to be healing tonight. But give me a peaceful sleep and do the work for me. But there are others that like to be part of it and want to know what's happening. And we don't have to know. We can just trust, know, and believe that's going to happen, and it will. Just going to take a deep breath. Now they're adding more positive energy. And what we're doing today, if you watch this replay, or if you just remember the words, or you just remember how to extend a hand, you can continue to heal throughout the night if something comes up. I am going to send this tips and tricks sheet out today, so it's there. I'll just send it to all the emails that are on the call. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. Take another deep breath. We want to anchor in this healing. And they're going to give another blast of positive energy. And we're going to send an intention that everyone on the call today, they've done so much work today. They've released so much and will continue to heal. Will continue to forgive themselves and others as they move forward on their journey. They will know how powerful they are. We're putting each and every one of you in a bubble of liquid love. And this bubble of liquid love will be with you from now on. And whenever you're feeling upset, whenever you're feeling down, just say, to remember this feeling of just liquid love pouring into all of your essence. You are loved, you are loved, you are loved. Your vibration is increasing. You release so much interference, and now you're increasing in vibration. Your innate smart body is working. It's seeing anything that's going on in that body that needs fixing. It's just going to naturally go and work on it. Your only homework today, I'm going to give you a few things, is one, drink lots of water, because you've released so much today. It's going to keep processing. So keep drinking water. Every time you drink water, you're releasing toxins. So that's really a good thing to do. You're going to say affirmations. I'm going to continue healing. I'm going to forgive. And anything that bubbles up, just look at it as a gift from God, gift from your angels, gift from your spiritual guides, saying, hey, this is up for release. You have the power to label anything good, neutral, or bad. If you can't label it good, then just label it neutral. Nothing that we go through has to be bad. It's all learning experiences, and this is what we're here for. So take a deep breath and say, as of today, I will continue healing. I will continue to love myself, and I will move forward in health, joy, prosperity, love, happiness. These are my birthright, and I will enjoy the journey as I make my way through these times. These times of change are positive and powerful, and I deserve to change for the better. I want you to anchor in that. Take another deep breath in. You're being anchored that in your heart. You are in this beautiful bubble of liquid love. There we go. We're going to seal that bubble. We're sealing in the energy. We're going to seal in the teaching. And we're going to get rid of any resistance that may stop you from healing, because all that's just dissipating. Your healing journey is going to be with ease and flow. And if you do find a block coming up, just breathe through it and say, I got this. I deserve to heal. And just keep talking, because when you say affirmations and you ask for help, help will be given. You've actually all released very nicely. So just take a few more deep breaths. I am going to use the bowl. Now, if some of you are still going through the experience with the cave, continue to do that. This might be an all-night process for some. It might have ended for others. You have your team working on you, so just let them do as much work as needed. I'm just going to grab the bowl so I can get rid of that last bit of negative energy there. So you're just gonna deep breathe during this as we now this the bowl may not sound perfect as it's coming through, but the intention works just the same. And what it's doing is just breaking any negative energy out of your home, out of your field, so you're gonna be a lot clearer once we're done here. You just take a deep breath. That was beautiful. A little bit like it's different from the other calls. That went very deep. I will stay available if anyone has any questions as I get off the call. I'm going to send you that tips and trick sheet so you do have it. If you decide you want to work on anything tonight, it's there. So I'll send that right after the call here. I'm going to drink some more water as I'm very thirsty. Okay, that's empty. That I was very thirsty. So drink lots of water because the toxins are leaving. All right. So actually, I'm still spitting from this one, and that means we did good. Sorry. When there's so much information when this is happening that I cannot put it to words. But in essence, what I'm seeing is negative energy, and it's a kind of all mushed together, right? Because we're each person is releasing like it's almost like 1,000 things at once. It's a percentage of this, a percentage of this, a percentage of this, and it's kind of like these dark clouds, but it kind of gets pulled away and pretty well. In essence, what's happening is I see the darkness leaving and it's anchoring in light. When I get it from a group, it kind of comes as for some reason the energy goes through me. This is the part where this is why I don't do as many healings as I do individually anymore, because after a healing I really need to cleanse myself and get rid of all that stuff from me. So right now I'm actually going to like go have a quick grounding outside, probably get into the jacuzzi to release everything and then have a good night's sleep and just but it doesn't linger with me. It just needs to clear out. But because I'm feeling a little nauseous right now, that's usually a very good indication that some big stuff left today. Some of you may have actually felt like a cord was being released. Like sometimes we jump, we don't know why. It's actually they're pulling out something. It's actually quite neat. So sometimes I see cords getting pulled out, but it really doesn't matter. That's just the way I am experiencing it, right? What I've been, and I guess what they always tell me is the bottom line is we're all loved. You've been infused with such beautiful, loving energy. And this energy knows exactly where you are, exactly where you need to be, exactly where you've been. And they work with your higher self to break away whatever's needed. And we're very multidimensional. So putting words to what is leaving, it doesn't make sense to the mental mind. But the crap is gone, light comes in, and you're being boosted up with healing. And you're going to feel energetically lighter. And if anyone has a, something they want to share later on, because it may not have, with energy work, some of us have experiences right away. Sometimes it takes 3-4 days. So sometimes people say, oh my gosh, you won't believe what just happened. My so and so came to my house. We had this great big cry and we felt great. Then another person might say, oh my gosh, I had this dream and my so and so who passed away came to me and gave me a big hug. And it's all like, I just feel so much lighter. I know it's all okay. So it really depends how it happens. And sometimes we don't even know, we don't have the experience, but it's happened. You just feel lighter, but can't explain it. So we're all very different. And there's no right or wrong. So don't be upset if I didn't feel anything or I did feel something, because trust me, all of you let a lot go today. So it's just how do you feel it? How do you feel after? Let it shift through. Just give permission for them to keep working on you. Okay. Is there anything else before we go? Okay. All right. I myself am going to go outside, and I think it's like nice out here. It looks like it's nice and dark. Hopefully, I'll see some stars, and I'll get a good night's sleep. And I'll be sending you all love. We put the intention out there that you all have a peaceful sleep. Again, as you process, that might not be 100% true, but you can, if you're having a hard time processing something, just ask for help. Ask your guide. Say, listen, this stuff is feeling icky. You do the work and let me sleep. I need a peaceful sleep. So you give it to God and let it go. And it really does work. So just ask, because if you ask, you will receive. All right, everyone, have a peaceful night. I'll get that email out. And if you have any emails or text messages you want to send me, go ahead and do so. And if you guys liked it, I can always do another session, but a different topic, or I might repeat this because I know there's a few people that want to come on today, but they didn't. And I'm going to say, I'm glad they didn't, because I think another 1 or 2 persons would have put me over the edge. All right. So you did amazing job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And very beautiful work, everyone. Have a peaceful night and sleep well. Oh, yeah. And I'll give you a link for the recording as well, but it's got to upload. It usually takes 24 hours. All right, everyone. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good night, everyone.